සුබ සන්ධ්‍යාවක් හැමෝටම. අපේ රේසිං වලට අලුතෙන් ජොයින් වෙන කට්ටියත් මේ වෙබිනාර් එකට අද ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒගොල්ලන්ව සාදරයෙන් පිළිගන්නවා. අපි රේසිං වලට සම්ප්‍රාප්ත වෙනකොට අපේ වාහනයක් ප්‍රිපෙයාර් කරනකොට රේසිං වලට ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් තියෙන රෙගුලාසි සඳහන් කරලා තියෙන ඩොකියුමන්ට් එක තමයි Appendix G කියන්නේ. දැනට මේක ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් පමණයි පබ්ලිෂ් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඒ Appendix G කියන ඩොකියුමන්ට් එක තමයි අපි ඉස්සලාම අරගෙන වාහනයක් මිලදී ගැනීමට ප්‍රථම සහ වාහනයක් මොඩිෆිකේෂන් කරන්න ප්‍රථම ඒ Appendix G ඩොකියුමන්ට් එක කියවලා ඉන්න එක තමයි ඊටාම වැදගත් වෙන්නේ. Appendix G කියන ඩොකියුමන්ට් එකේ 2021 මාර්තු 21 වෙනිදා අපි පබ්ලිෂ් කරා Appendix G ඩොකියුමන්ට් එකක්. ඒක 2023 දෙසැම්බර් 31 වෙනිදා වෙනකල් වැලිඩ්. නමුත් කාලෙන් කාලෙට අපි ඒ දීලා තියෙන මේන් රෙගියුලේෂන් එකේ අපිට පොඩි වෙනස්කම් කිරීමට සිදු වෙනවා. අද මේ දැන් තියෙන තත්ත්වය අනුව ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට්ස් අනුව අපිට පොඩි වෙනස්කම් කිරීමට සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඒ අනුව අපි ඒක අපේ තාක්ෂණික කමිටුවක් තියෙනවා ශ්‍රී ලංකා ඔටෝමොබයිල් ස්පෝර්ට්ස් එකේ. තාක්ෂණික කමිටුව හරහා රිසර්ච් කරලා ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉන්න එක්ස්පර්ට්ස්ලාට දැනුම තියෙන කට්ටියට කතා කරලා අපේ දැනුමත් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් යොදවලා අපේත් රිසර්ච් කරලා අපි මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් SLAS ගවර්නින් කවුන්සිල් එකට අපි රිපෝට් කරනවා මේ දේවල් කියලා. ඩ්‍රයිවර්ස්ලා අපිට කන්සර්න්ස් යවනවා, ටියුනර්ස්ලා අපිට කන්සර්න්ස් යවනවා, ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ තියෙන ක්ලැරිෆිකේෂන්ස් යවනවා. එතකොට ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් සලකා බලලා තමයි මොකක් හරි චේන්ජ් එකක් කරන්න අවශ්‍ය නම් නැත්නම් මොකක් හරි අලුතෙන් යොදවන්න අවශ්‍ය නම් අපි තීරණ ගන්නෙ. So first of all, like I said, when you want to prepare your car for racing, the main document that you need to read is Appendix G. So Appendix G consists, there are 3 sections that is under Appendix G. Initially, when you read Appendix G, you have to read the general specifications. දැන් උදාහරණයකට මම කියන්නම් Appendix G document එක අතර ගත්තාම Ford Laser එකක් නම් competition සඳහා කම්පියුටර් කෙනෙක් යොදවන්න හිතන් ඉන්නේ කෙලින්ම Ford Laser Mazda 1300 or 1500 group E වෙන්න පුළුවන් group N ඒ රෙගියුලේෂන් එක නෙමෙයි කියවන්න ඕනේ. Appendix G එක අතට ගත්තාම ඉස්සලාම Appendix එකේ කොටස් 3ක් තියෙනවා. පළවෙනි එක තමයි general specifications කියන එක. ඒ general specifications කියන එක Ford Laser එකක්, Mini Cooper එකක්, Mitsubishi Evolution එකක්, Honda එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, truck and jeep රථයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ හැම දෙයකටම පොදුයි. ඒ general specifications එකේ තියෙන ටික හැම competition vehicle එකකටම පොදුයි. general specifications කියවට පස්සේ group N කියලා specification එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ group N specification එකේ තියෙනවා හැම competition vehicle එකකටම පොදුවේ තියෙන regulations. ඊට පස්සේ තියෙනවා class specific regulations. ඒ කියන්නේ compete කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා නම් group E Ford Laser Mazda 1300 කියන event එකේ ඒකට අදාළ ඒකට විතරක් අදාළ පොදු නෙවෙයි ඒකට විතරක් අදාළ ස්පෙસિෆිකේෂන්ස් තියෙනවා. ඒ ස්පෙસિෆිකේෂන්ස් ටික වෙන වෙනම කියවන්න අවශ්‍යයි. එතකොට SLGT එකක් නම් SLH 1600 Honda event එකේ නම් ඒ හැම එකටම ස්පෙસિෆික් ඒකට අදාළ විතරක් technical regulations වෙන වෙනම දීලා තියෙනවා. So Appendix G කියන එක ඒ කොටස් තුනට තමයි කියවන්න ඕනේ. technical specific කියන ඒකටම අදාළ වූ regulations ටික කියවන්න ප්‍රථම අනිත් regulations ටික කියවලා ඉන්න එක ඉතාම වැදගත්. So without wasting time, I will get on to the amendments. I'm sure all of you have read Appendix G. We have had not a full year of racing, but we have had a couple of races, especially Katogurunda, that most of you competitors took part. There was so many that took part in each class. It was good to see. So I'm sure when you sign your indemnity form, it states there that you have already read Appendix G and you have understood what is in Appendix G, because if you do not read Appendix G and enter a race, and by any chance if the officials or there is a protest against your car and you are found, if we find that you are not within those specifications, you will get penalized. So as per Amendment 3, which is effective from the 19th of January, because whatever regulations that are published, like I mentioned, is ratified by the SLAS Council before it is published. Clause 4.5, class specific regulations for Group A cars, Mini 7. So, for the past 2 years, the Mini 7 event could not take part in mass start gravel events because of the number of competitors. Hamma event එකකටම තියෙනවා minimum number of competitors ගානක් ඉන්න ඕනේ. So for Mini 7 also, it's a common regulation for all classes where there is a minimum number of entries that a club needs to receive to conduct an event. So now Mini 7 has developed. There are newcomers coming into that event from C license who are upgraded into B license who are take parting in the mini event. So Mini 7 is now allowed from 2022 onwards for gravel as well. That is good news to all the mini drivers who have been calling us continuously to take part in the gravel event. Then the next one, the second point, 4.10, class specific regulations for Group H mini cars up to 1275cc. That is another mini event. I must say the mini 1275 event started off as a Group E event, which was for entry level. So C license holders at entry level who took part, and gradually after 2 years, after 3 years, they upgraded. They wanted to upgrade, and we found that there were so many drivers who are interested in this event, which has become an event with 10 to 12 drivers now. So the mini 1275 event as well, Group H, was not allowed for gravel events, but from 2022, the mini Group H 1275 event is also allowed for gravel and rallycross events. So more or less every event that is in other than formulas, every event that is listed down in Appendix G is now allowed for hill climbs, tarmac circuit meets, gravel circuit meets, rallycross, and speed rallies. Then we have a very important point 3, which is 4.11 in Appendix G under clause 4.11 under class specific regulations for Group GT cars up to 3500cc. The current regulation states that the weight up to 3500cc is 1350 kilograms. Most of you know, whoever is already a SLAS license holder from last year would know that, and running as Appendix G, we now weigh all the cars with the driver. So once you finish your hill climb run or qualifying run or your race event, you come straight away to the weighing scale and you are weighed with the driver in the car. The driver does not need to get down from the car, you are weighed with the driver. So the weight was 1350 kilograms. However, 2 years ago, there were a few requests that came to SLAS with regards to concerns on costs. It was not only for SLGT but other events. There were a few requests for other events as well. SLGT being the top pinnacle event and the main event in Sri Lanka, there were requests by drivers to see how the costs can be curtailed in this event. However, SLGT is the event that we see most developments happening. Tuners, drivers spending the most number of hours and money to put that event and make that event very colorful. So we entertained so many suggestions, and there were suggestions that came in to try and make this event a Group N event, more or less a standard event. We don't use that word standard anymore in our regulations, but there are drivers who have gone the extra mile to do so much of research and spent a lot of money in getting performance parts for these cars and upgrading these cars to bring this event to where it is today. And as a part of that, we in our regulations had published 2 years ago that we would be looking at standardization of certain elements or aspects of this particular event under technical regulations. And as a result of that, after so many meetings, so many discussions, we realized that certain parts cannot be looked at. I mean, it's difficult for us to police. So, and certain parts can affect safety. Right? So the finally we arrived at SLAS. We arrived at a conclusion to bring about close racing, to have close racing, close competition. This suggestion was looked at, and this is with regards to gearboxes. So I will not elaborate completely into technical detail. I will spell out what is in the regulation. I'm sure when you drivers who need more details, they always contact us. So the minimum weight of a car fitted with a gearbox using any shifting mechanism other than a H pattern. Usual cars, any production car that is manufactured comes, a manual car comes with a H pattern gearbox. I'm sure all of you all know that. It is the same for all the events that we are running under Appendix G. So the minimum weight of a car fitted with a gearbox using any shift mechanism other than a H pattern, that includes automatic gearboxes, sequential gearboxes, dual clutch, etc., will be 1418 kilograms. That is an increase of 5% from the minimum weight that is stipulated. However, drivers who are already running sequential gearboxes, they cannot we know that they cannot adapt to this immediately. So SLAS has decided that this regulation come into effect, this regulation that I mentioned now, the weight increase come into effect by the 1st of April 2022. So under the 4th section on this document, you can see 4.8 class specific regulations for Group H cars, SLH 1600, one make Honda 3-door hatchback cars only. Then we move on to the next one, item number 5. This is under general regulations. I wanted to spell out the class specific regulations before I went into general specifications. So this is under general regulations, like I said, which will apply to all classes. That is under general specifications, clause 6, other details. So under other details, there are currently 15 subclauses, and this comes in as a new, that's why I have said inclusion. It is not an amendment, it's an inclusion. So this is coming up as inclusion, that is for performance enhancement. There are ways of injecting items or substances into a air intake system. So this is with regards to that query that Sri Lanka Automobile Sports received, and we've come to the conclusion that we needed to include this in the regulations to make sure it is clear for everyone across all classes. So this is the inclusion, that is which will be a new subclause 16.16. water methanol or any other type of injection except for permitted fuels into the air intake system, onto the air filter or after the air filter until the combustion chamber for normally aspirated engines or turbocharged or supercharged engines is strictly prohibited. There may be a driver who's running a car with a intercooler who will ask me whether external water spray to the intercooler is also not allowed according to this. No, externally it is allowed, but internally for the air intake system from the air filter, onwards until the combustion chamber. So if it's a turbocharged, through the turbo to the intercooler until the combustion chamber, other than the fuels that are allowed under a different subclause, because if it's a fuel injected vehicle, a car, obviously the fuel is injected, and under fuel I won't elaborate because it is already in Appendix G, and the fuel that is permitted is already in Appendix G. So any other substance will be strictly prohibited. This rule will be in effect immediately from the first event, from the icebreaker at Gajapa. this rule also will come into play. So
Right.
thank you very much, Shahan.
Thanks,
and,
Ryan. Thank you, guys, and I'm sure you guys all are having a lot of questions with regard to the regulations and so on. So just note them down. We may not have time today to one by one to explain or answer the questions because the situation is such that we are online. But you can always write your questions to. I'll give you an email address. It's info/2017@gmail.com. info/2017@gmail.com. You just keep writing your questions onto that, and then we will ensure that you get a reply if we cannot address your issues now. So that's the end of the technical session.